At the front row seat of history. This is Arirang News special live coverage of Election Night 2017. Now, we come to you as breaking news because we have a projected winner or even a confirmed winner of the 2017 presidential election. Democratic Party of Korea's Moon Jae-in is projected to be the winner with a landslide victory. Now, on the screen, you're seeing Democratic Party of Korea nominee Moon Jae-in making his way to the stage at the Gwanghwamun Square. Now, Gwanghwamun Square in downtown Seoul, it's the very place where this election precipitated the candlelight rallies that ousted the ex-former president Park Geun-hye, and now that precipitated in this election. You're seeing Moon Jae-in there greeting his supporters, and in a sign of victory, he has his hands up, and that's where he is. We're expecting him to deliver a message to the public. So basically, yes, we have a winner, 2017 South Korea's presidential election, and the winner goes to Moon Jae-in of the Democratic Party of Korea. He did have a double-digit lead over the second runner-up, and we were expecting this kind of a victory, but we didn't expect it to come this early. It's 10 minutes or 14 minutes before midnight here in South Korea. Polls closed at 8 p.m. Korea time. So it's been about 3.5 hours, 4 hours, and now we have a projected winner, confirmed winner of the elections. Now, Moon Jae-in, he officially kicked off his campaigning presidential bid at Gwanghwamun Square as a icon or symbol of this candlelight election that he's named, so that he can better reflect the public sentiment as represented, as expressed through the candlelight rallies, which of course erupted because of a corruption scandal involving ex-President Park Geun-hye. Now, with a landslide victory, Moon Jae-in, it looks like, has won the 2017 presidential elections in South Korea, and he's back at the Gwanghwamun Square where he officially kicked off his official bid for presidency, and he's back there with his party members to deliver a message. It looks like he's about to deliver a national address. Why don't we listen in for that? But before that, he's once again bowing to the public, to his supporters who helped him away here.
My beloved Korean citizens, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. I am Moon Jae-in. Thank you. Thanks to all of you. Thank you for all of your efforts. It is my duty and my promise to work towards a country of justice, a nation that we can be proud to be called our nation, a nation that you, our citizens, can be proud of. And I would like to thank all of those who participated in this election and all of the other candidates who also worked toward making Korea a country that you guys can be proud of. Starting tomorrow, I will be your president, the president of all of you Korean people. And I even want to thank those who did not support me and work toward becoming a president that they can be proud of. My fellow Koreans, I will not forget what you have asked for as a nation, as a people, and I'll work towards bringing our country back on its feet and helping all of you realize your dreams as Koreans. I will make a Korea that you all can be proud of. I'll do my best and dedicate all of my efforts, dedicate everything I can. Listen to you all, listen to all your needs, and try to meet them as best as I can. To make a Korea based on justice, a nation that all of you can be proud of. I will become a president that all of you can be proud of.
감사합니다.
Thank you. Thank you, all of you.
So that was now South Korea's 19th president, President Moon Jae-in, making his public address, his very first one as the president at Gwanghwamun Square. And now he's, yes, at Gwanghwamun Square. And he has lots of aides and party members there. He's giving a hug to Seoul Mayor Park Won-soon, also a supporter of Moon Jae-in and his campaign aides there. Now, Moon Jae-in has been bidding for a national unity, and it looks like he did have a lot of competition winning the primaries as well, and he's known to have united those fronts. So the supporters of each of his rivals in the primaries, they've all joined him in the campaign, and he's just promised to become a president of unity. And there you go. That was once his rival, Lee Jae-myung. So he has promised to become a president of unity and one that serves the people. Now, that is Gwanghwamun Square, where the candlelight rallies that sparked this elections happened for weeks long. Since last winter, we saw just massive crowds gathering at the Gwanghwamun Square with candlelights in their hands, vowing or calling for the president, ex-president to be ousted. And it actually led to that. So there we go. We're seeing Moon Jae-in. It came, and his chief aide Kim Kyung-soo there. So that is Moon Jae-in also speaking to Seoul Mayor, and that is the chair of the Democratic Party of Korea, Choo Mi-ae, speaking. I think she's also going to be delivering a speech.
이렇게 문재인 대통령이라고 부를 수 있는 이 순간이 너무나 감격스럽습니다.
I am so proud to be able to be standing here at a time where we can call Moon Jae-in our president.
국민 통합 시대 사회 대개혁의 원년.
Let us welcome a new age of unity as a Korean people, unity under the new president, Moon Jae-in. And I would like to express all of my gratitude to all of you for supporting him.
이제 대한민국은 하나가 됐습니다.
Now Korea has become one, a nation of unity.
하지 않았던 분들까지도
To those who did not support us, we will not forget you, and we will include you in this new nation of unity, this new nation of oneness as a Korean people. Under President Moon Jae-in. Please help all of us, help you, help President Moon Jae-in, help all of you as a nation to become one. Thank you very much. For the past 23 days, we have promised very many things to the Korean people, and we will do our best to make these promises a reality for all of you, for all of the Korean people as one nation. Under President Moon Jae-in, we all support President Moon Jae-in in supporting you as a nation. Thank you very much.
Right, so that was the public address given by the chair of the Democratic Party of Korea. That is the party which now President Moon Jae-in is part of, and that was Choo Mi-ae, the chair, giving her speech, and that she just vowed to support the president run this nation. We're also seeing Seoul Mayor Park Won-soon there, as well as Lee Jae-myung, once his rival in the primaries. Now, Seoul Mayor Park Won-soon.
Everyone, are you happy? Here we are now to welcome our new president and a new age for the nation of Korea. Let us now welcome the age of Moon Jae-in, which is all thanks to you, all the efforts by you, the Korean people.
문재인 대통령과 새로운 민주정부의 성공을 위해서
I will work with President Moon Jae-in to create a new Korea, a nation of victory and one of unity.
서울시의 수장님 박원순 시장님이셨습니다. 다음은
And now it looks like Lee Jae-myung, once a fierce rival of Moon Jae-in in the party primaries. Right, that was another rival, Choi Sung. He's the mayor of Goyang.
네, 감사합니다.
Yes, thank you, everyone. Thank you.
네,
Thank you.
네, 감기에 무량합니다. 경선 때 좀 그렇게 지지해 주시지.
I wish you guys had supported me during the election that way.
저를 찍어주겠다는 약속 잊지 않고 있습니다, 여러분.
We will not forget the promises that we have made to you.
문재인 대통령님의
And more than anything else,
위대한 국민과 함께 여러분.
we are ready to welcome the age of Moon Jae-in
외쳐주십시오, 여러분.
and the age of the nation's unity that he will bring for us. Let us all chant and welcome Moon Jae-in as our president.
국민 여러분, 북핵 위기,
My fellow Koreans,
위기, 경제 위기를 해결할
Moon Jae-in will be the one, the president, to solve all the problems that are facing Korea today.
대통령
As president,
우리 안희정 지사님께서 여러분 뜨거운 박수 부탁드립니다.
can I ask for applause?
네, 주목해 주세요, 여러분.
Thank you, everyone. Now please focus.
탄핵되고 구속된 이후에 위기에
After the recent impeachment of former President Park Geun-hye, let us welcome a new age of unity under a new president, President Moon Jae-in,
대개조시키고 통합을 이룩할 대통령은
a president who will bring in a new age of unity and success for Korea, an age of prosperity for all of us.
감사합니다.
Thank you.
선대만 대통령 그리고 준비된 대통령 문재인 대통령과 함께
Now help me in welcoming President Moon Jae-in,
마치겠습니다, 여러분. 사랑합니다.
who will work hard for all of you, for all the Korean people. Thank you.
여러분 최성 시장님이셨습니다. 이재명이 문재인이다. 문재인이 이재명이다. 우리 이재명 시장님 말씀.
Right, it looks like they're all taking turns giving a congratulatory message here now. Lee Jae-myung, once a rival in the primaries.
Ladies and gentlemen,
당선자는 이재명이 아니라 문재인입니다.
don't refer to me as Lee Jae-myung anymore. I am also Moon Jae-in.
문재인의 승리자
As a supporter of Moon
새로운
Jae-in,
대한민국을 원하는
I support him in his efforts to working towards the victory of the Korean nation. A victory for Moon Jae-in is a victory for all the Korean people.
문재인 정부는
Now, the Moon administration, President Moon Jae-in,
진정한 자주 독립의 나라를 만들 것입니다.
will work towards a true nation of unity and justice.
망가져가는 남북 관계를 복원하고
He'll work towards solving
통일로 가는 길을 열어젖힐
the issues
것입니다.
between the relations between North and South Korea
후퇴하는 민주주의를 되돌리고
and revive democracy
공정한 기회가 보장되는
in Korea.
모든 국민이 희망을 갖고 살아가는 그런
He will become the new hope of all Korean people and create a new nation of Korea, one filled with hope and prosperity.
이제 문은 열렸습니다.
A new page, a new chapter has opened under President Moon.
우리 국민이 바라는 공정하고 평화롭고
Under President Moon, all the Korean people will see a start of a new, fair, and united Korean nation. Now, This is now Moon Jae-in's Korea. Not just Moon Jae-in's Korea, but the nation of the Korean people. And he will work with you to create a Korean nation filled with prosperity and hope. He will create a new history that will go down in history. Thank you.
이재명 시장님 위해 주셨습니다. 다시 한번 큰 박수 부탁드립니다.
So that was the mayor of Seongnam, Lee Jae-myung, a fierce rival he was during the Democratic Party of Korea primaries. And now here we go, An Hee-jung. He's the governor of Chungcheongnam-do province. He was also a fierce rival of Moon Jae-in at the Democratic Party of Korea primaries. And there we go. There we have it. All 5-6 of them, including the chair of the party, Chung Ye, as well as Seoul Mayor Park Won-soon. Earlier, we saw An Hee-jung, who also he actually rose as a dark horse in this election, and many are expecting him to even run 5 years later. And we saw him give Moon a big bijou. I don't know what that means really, but yes, that was a very friendly sight, I suppose. Now, so that is Gwanghwamun Square, and for those of you just joining us, Moon Jae-in, a liberal Moon Jae-in, has claimed victory in the 2017 presidential election. So there seem to be some very early celebrations going on at Seoul's central Gwanghwamun Square right now, as you just saw, as it's becoming more apparent. In fact, Moon Jae-in has claimed victory in the 2017 presidential election. Our very own Lee Eun-shin is there at the site, and we're going to connect with her. Eun-shin, tell us, what are you seeing? What are you feeling? What are you hearing?
Hi, Ganyang. So as you mentioned, the Democratic Party's Moon Jae-in has just arrived here at Gwanghwamun Square just minutes ago and greet thousands of Koreans here to also support him. Now the crowd is actually getting bigger by the minute, so I don't know if it's 1,000 or maybe even bigger than that now. They're in groups wearing matching T-shirts, selling Moon campaign merchandise even. The exit poll results have forecast a big win for him, and the actual vote totals are reflecting that too. So there's already quite a bit of a celebration, actually now a full-on celebration going on among them right now. It's only natural for Moon to come to Gwanghwamun Plaza to thank his supporters when you really think about it. After all, the place where it all started for him. Triggered by the massive scandal broke out last fall, candlelight vigils were held here for months. Hundreds of thousands, sometimes over 1 million Koreans would gather here demanding the swift removal of the ex-president Park Geun-hye from office. Now, Moon attended numerous rallies himself, declaring his determination to wipe out the deep-rooted evil in society, even before officially running for president. And as a candidate, it is also the place he visited on the first day of the official campaign. Now, he just got here and is getting settled in as we speak, joining the festive mood here. So I'll check back with you later and give you more updates. Kanya?
Well, definitely a lot of celebratory mood there at Gwanghwamun Square. Sometimes it even feels like he's an idol or a K-pop star. Very unlikely for a politician to get such popularity. Now, the ballot counting here in Korea's 19th presidential election, although Moon Jae-in has claimed victory, it still continues because at the end of the day, we have to see the official numbers. Now, so our Kwon Jang-ho is there on site. He is at one of the 251 vote counting stations in the country. Now, Chang-ho, how are the scenes over there? I mean, Moon Jae-in has claimed victory, though.
Good evening, Ganyang, or should I say good morning. Yes, so Moon Jae-in has declared the winner, but I'm not sure if the 250 volunteers here are aware of the situation. It's been not very loud, but they've been continuing to do the vote count here at Yeouido High School Gymnasium. And of course, they will be continuing to diligently count through the votes till every vote is counted. Now, so far, about 50 million of the votes have been counted nationwide. That's about a third of the total votes. Moon Jae-in's lead over the Liberty Korea Party's Hong Joon-pyo is by a margin of about 13% at the moment, and that difference could keep growing as well. Moon, as expected, has won significant votes in the liberal stronghold of the country's southeast, such as Jeollado provinces, as well as the city of Gwangju. He's also won a significant share of the southwestern region of Gyeongsang-namdo, where he's only trailing Hong by about 3%. Remember, Hong was the governor there, and it's a traditionally conservative region. Of course, we have to wait to see the final results, but Moon seems to have managed to win regions that he needed to win.
Now, so there is no surprise in Moon Jae-in's landslide victory here, but there is surprise that in recent opinion polls, we had been seeing the rise of Hong Joon-pyo, the self-described strongman of South Korea, of Liberty Korea Party, coming in as second. Now, before that, it was actually People's Party An Chol-soo, who was even at once at a neck-and-neck race with Moon Jae-in, but he seems to have really gone down, and Hong Joon-pyo trailing behind Moon Jae-in. What are we reading there?
That's right. Hong is currently leading An Chol-soo by about 6 percentage points. I mean, Hong has gotten good results in the country's traditionally conservative strongholds, such as the Gyeongsang-do provinces. But that gap between Hong and An could narrow a little bit, as a lot of the Seoul districts are still to come in. And is expecting to far much better there. But whether that will tip the race for a second place back to An was perhaps unlikely, especially as Moon is still expected to come out on top there as well. The National Election Commission had previously given a 6 a.m. as a tentative time for the official announcement of the results. But as we've seen, Moon Jae-in has already declared the winner. Back to you, Kanya.
All right, our Kwon Jang-ho ardently at work there, even though Moon Jae-in has already claimed victory. We'll keep you there so that you watch the entire process of the vote count and the official figure is out. Now, Democratic Party of Korea presidential hopeful or nominee Moon Jae-in is no longer a nominee. He has claimed victory in the 2017 presidential election. We're going to check back with our Kim Hyun-bin. He was our markman, meaning he tagged around Moon Jae-in all throughout the official campaigning period, from Seoul to Jeollado in Southwest, Gyeongsang-do, everywhere across the nation. Hyun-bin, I know earlier I was there. There was a big cheer that erupted as we saw the early exit polls come out at roughly 8 p.m. Korea time. How is it there now?
Well, after the exit polls came out, there were no room to move at this 430-seat auditorium, and press from all over the world, from Japan, China, wherever, were here to possibly see the next president of Korea. Now, Moon Jae-in stopped by here and thanked his party and the people for their support shortly. And as you can see now, there are quite a few empty seats now because the president's candidate is in Gwanghwamun Square, and you just saw him giving his victory speech. Well, that's all I have right now. I'll get back to you soon.
Right, Hyun-bin. It looks like you're going to have to move yourself to Gwanghwamun Square so that you tag along your presidential nominee, now the president, Moon Jae-in, there. Thank you, Hyun-bin. So the second runner-up is Hong Joon-pyo. Now, his campaign is a very unique one because we did not see him as even a potential winner until recent weeks, where he really caught up with An Chol-soo and then made this silver cross, so to speak, and is now trailing behind Moon Jae-in in the vote counts. Now, Semin, any change of mood there following Hong Joon-pyo's words? I know he gave a little bit of a speech before.
Nope, Kanyang, it's still quiet and it's very calm here at the headquarters of the Liberty Korea Party in Yeouido. Now, especially after the former conservative candidate Hong Joon-pyo had dropped by here at the headquarters, giving his remarks to the people here. Now, all the party lawmakers and the officials are now gone at this hour, as you can see in the video there. But when they were around, the former candidate gave what was likely his final remarks in this election, with party officials standing behind him. Hong all but conceded the race to Liberal candidate Moon Jae-in. Listen to this.
We won't know until all the votes are counted, but if the exit polls prove true, I'm satisfied with taking on the task of rebuilding this party. I solemnly accept the election outcome. Thank you all.
Again, the candidates' acceptance of the election result came sooner than many had expected, as only the 9% of the entire ballots had been counted then. And with that concession speech, many of the reporters and the camera crews that had been waiting in position began packing up and leaving their positions. Supporters who had swung by the parties to give their support to the party and the candidates was reluctant to leave, however, as they wanted to give some of the remaining support to the party, as saying that they should be together, especially during this hardship. So we are seeing a sign that the Conservatives could be unifying already right after the election. Kanyang?
Right, Semin, thank you. Semin has been following Hong Jun-pyo, the conservative candidate, the self-described strongman or Donald Trump of South Korea, all throughout this campaign. Now, candidate number 3, An Chol-soo of the center-left People's Party, he delivered his defeat speech earlier on, which is kind of, I suppose, sad in a way because he had been in a neck-and-neck race with Moon Jae-in up until very recently. Our Song Ji-sun, she was our reporter responsible over An Chol-soo. She followed An Chol-soo everywhere, from Seoul to Daejeon to even Jeju-do. Now, Ji-sun, what are you feeling?
Well, just after 10:30 p.m. this evening, An arrived here at the National Assembly Memorial Hall, where the People's Party lawmakers were watching the election broadcast, although they have left here now. An delivered a short speech accepting his defeat. Take a listen.
I will humbly accept the people's choice. I couldn't answer the nation's call for change, but I hope Korea progresses into the future with a new president. Thank you, fellow citizens, and everyone at the party. I will continue striving for Korea's change and future. Thank you.
His speech, though, was delivered earlier than expected, and this was just minutes before it was projected that Moon Jae-in will certainly win the election following 3 hours of ballot counting. As for what role he hopes to play or how he accepts or interprets the result, he said he will address such questions tomorrow, which is today. When asked whether he will fly to another country, he just smiled. Soon after his departure, People's Party lawmakers made their exit too, explaining why the place is empty right now, with reporters also packing up at this campaign headquarters. It was a shocking and disappointing result indeed, as An was expected to at least end the race in second place instead of the third spot, with less than anticipated support from the Honam region, where the party ended up victorious in last year's general election. The People's Party also announced that it will disassemble its election committee tomorrow at 3 p.m., that is today, after the new president inaugurates. Back to you, Ganyang.
Right, it's probably especially disappointing for People's Party, which is actually a splinter from the Democratic Party of Korea. So it had been a liberal party until An Chol-soo veered a little bit to center, to become center-left, I suppose, to embrace conservatives. That obviously did not work out too well. But let's now turn to our Kim Ji-yeon for the latest figures on voting results, because even though Moon Jae-in has claimed victory in this 2017 presidential election, it's also very important to find out the official figures. So our Kim Ji-yeon is right here with me. Now, Ji-yeon, so Moon Jae-in had been projected as the winner in the early exit polls, and now he's claimed victory. Let's go to the figures, though.
Let's go straight ahead. Well, these are the number of votes cast and eligible voters as of 10 p.m. Korea time, according to the National Election Commission. And 37.4% of votes have been counted so far. In the city of Seoul, we have Moon Jae-in with 42.4%, followed by An Chol-soo of 22.4%. There's quite a gap here compared to the 10 p.m. Korea time when we announced the results then. In Gyeonggi-do province, Moon Jae-in is in the lead, followed by An Chol-soo. In the western port city of Incheon, we also have Moon Jae-in with 40% lead, followed by Hong Jun-pyo. And in Gangwon-do province, we have Moon Jae-in with 34.2% and Hong Jun-pyo with 31%. And in Gyeongsang-Bukdo province, we have Hong Jun-pyo with 53% lead and 19.2% for Moon Jae-in, which is not surprising since this was a traditionally conservative region, stronghold. And in the city of Daegu, we have Hong Jun-pyo followed by Moon Jae-in. And in Gyeongsang-Namdo province, we still have Hong Jun-pyo in the lead with 39.5 points. But this is considered very vital because these two are neck and neck in these regions. And this is a very important region since he was the governor before this election. And also in the city of Ulsan, we have Moon Jae-in with 36.5%. These numbers are quite significant. There's quite a gap here, considering that Ulsan was where more than 60% of voters in the 2012 presidential election have voted for a conservative candidate, then presidential candidate Park Geun-hye. So it's a very big turnaround. And also that's same for in the city of Busan, the second largest city in Korea. We have Moon Jae-in with 37%, followed by Hong Jun-pyo. In Jeollabuk-do province, we have Moon Jae-in with a staggering 64% and An Chul-soo. And in Jeollanam-do province, this isn't surprising for this region since it was a traditionally liberal stronghold. We have Moon Jae-in with a staggering 58%. And in the city of Light in Gwangju, we have 58% of support, and this region had the highest turnout rate this year and also in 2012 as well. And we got a technical problem here, but let's go with the city of Daejeon. Moon Jae-in has 46% support, followed by An Chul-soo, but there's quite a gap here. And in Korea's administrative city of Sejong, we have Moon Jae-in with a staggering 52% and 20% for An Chul-soo. And in Chungcheongbuk-do province, Moon Jae-in is in the lead, followed by Hong Jun-pyo. There's more than 10%. There's a gap between the two. This is considered very significant since this was considered as a very conservative stronghold during the past elections. This is also for Chungcheongnam-do province. Moon Jae-in is in the lead against Hong Jun-pyo with more than 10 percentage points gap. And last but not least, we have Jeju Island. Moon Jae-in is in the lead, followed by An Chul-soo with 21%.
So those are the figures, Ji-young, and I'm sure you'll keep us updated throughout the night. Thank you for that. Although Moon Jae-in has claimed victory, it's and it's a little bit of, I suppose, disappointing for you because there is no thrill anymore. But we'll keep you there.
But actually, there is some thrill because Moon Jae-in he wanted to get more than 50% of support in this election, but he has to make sure that Yoo Seung-min and Shim Sang-jung won't get a total of a combined 15% support for him to have a strong government with strong support.
Right, and those results are exactly what I'm going to be discussing with my experts here. So thank you for that very nice segue as well.
Thank you.
So now here in the studio with me are my experts. We have right next to me, to my left, we have Professor Hwang Jung-wook of Hankuk University of Foreign Studies. Thank you for coming at such a late hour. And my favorite, Dr. Pong Young-sik of Asan Institute and Yonsei University. Now, so what are you guys making out of this election results? Personally, I didn't expect this defeat by the rivals and the claiming victory to come so early, so soon in the evening.
Well, I guess it's a bit of a triumph of the pollsters. I mean, a lot of people have pointed to Donald Trump's triumph in the United States and saying that how can you really rely on polls? But what it turns out is that in the last week of the polls, before the blackout period, Moon Jae-in sort of showed consistently that he was in lead about anywhere between 15 to 25 percentage points, and that's exactly being borne out by the results. So I guess we can sort of all breathe a sigh of relief and say we can rely on polls to a certain extent.
So scientific theory or data has proven itself right this time. Now, Dr. Bong, what are you making out of this very early victory?
This is by any measure landslide victory for Mr. Moon Jae-in. does it mean that the beginning of the new politics in South Korea? Unfortunately, the answer is no. This represents the slow ending of the politics as usual that dominated South Korean political history for the past 40 years. Big government, performance and result matters, not democratic procedures. But the impeachment of a former President Park Geun-hye and the Constitutional Court ruling to uphold the impeachment bill passed in the National Assembly symbolizes that South Korean public regards constitutional procedure is at least as important as the good result, the performance of the government. So nobody is above the constitution of the nation. So the victory of Mr. Moon Jae-in, despite all the weaknesses he carried throughout the campaign, means that the public consensus that the politics as usual, the corruption, scandals, cannot be just passed by without due prosecution.
So corruption, of course, was a huge factor going into this election. In fact, that is exactly what precipitated this elections, a snap election. So normally we have presidential elections in December. We had to go ahead with this one here in May. The campaigning period was very short, of 2 months only, and that was very short and intense and very packed as well. Now, Moon Jae-in's landslide victory, I think we were expecting this, more or less, a victory by Moon Jae-in. I myself followed the Moon Jae-in camp for the past couple of weeks, and they were never too, I suppose, too quick to pop the champagne, but still, although they were prudent, there was that atmosphere of victory in the air. And also, again, a very big campaign. He has a very big crowd there. I want to focus on Hong Joon-pyo's rise. So he's the nominee of Liberty Korea Party. Yes, we call it Liberty Korea Party, but in fact, it's just a new name for Park Geun-hye's Saenuri Party. We didn't expect him to win so much. In fact, we didn't expect him to get up to second place. It was, in fact, a neck-and-neck race between Moon Jae-in and Ahn Cheol-soo. So this election had been defined as a liberal versus liberal elections, but that didn't turn out so much as so. What do you think the reason is behind that?
I mean, I guess I'll point out two things. One is there was a really big swing in terms of poll numbers for Ahn Cheol-soo, and which still I really haven't found really sufficient explanation for, because about a month ago, people have been commenting the fact that Moon and Ahn are basically neck and neck. And some of the polls actually show that. And after 2 weeks later, somehow, air seems to go out of the balloon. So exactly what happened, I'm really not sure. There was some controversy about whether the polls around the time were fair and whether methodology was fair or not. I mean, I hope there is some autopsy going on there. I guess a larger narrative about Hong Joon-pyo's rise, or maybe Ahn Cheol-soo's fall, in my point of view, is that Ahn Cheol-soo definitely didn't really live up to expectation during the televised debates. He didn't really look presidential, basically, and he sounded, a bit like a complaining A+ student who wasn't quite up to be the challenge of being the president. So I think Ahn Cheol-soo has some soul searching to do at this point.
So soul searching for Ahn Cheol-soo, that is your prescription for Ahn. Dr. Bong, what are you reading into Hong's emergence as the second place runner-up to the presidential elections? I don't think many of us were expecting that. Many of us weren't expecting that Conservative Party to gain that much votes.
You can say that he gathered about a quarter of the entire votes. Depending upon how you look at it, you can say that that's a surprising result by the conservative candidate, but at the same time you can say that that's maximum number of votes that ultra-conservative candidate can possibly gain. So this is a kind of curse disguised as a blessing for the conservative in South Korean politics, because now the conservative politicians and their supporters are facing very tough choice. Are you going back to the politics as usual, like Mr. Hong, touting very tough, words, making all these grand promises without showing specific roadmap to actually carry out the plans, assailing the opponents without actually providing verifiable evidence. This is just old tactics. And a lot of South Korean constituents are tired and sick of repeating the same tactics. But at the same time, there is an underlying fear of South Korean society moving too fast in favor of the liberal values as a country facing constantly the grave threat of North Korea. So that might be the maximum public support that conservative political parties can, guarantee. It may help you to win some National Assembly elections, but it is another question whether the Conservative Party can actually carry out the next presidential election if they stick to the same old politics. And the downfall of the Mr. An Cheol-soo, as Professor Hwang mentioned, is that now South Korean constituents look at more than just image. Image is no longer everything in South Korean politics, determining the voting behavior of South Korean constituents, because they felt that they were thoroughly deceived by the good image of the former President Park Geun-hye. Now, South Korean constituents are moving in the direction that emphasizes the candidates actually being presidential, whether they are prepared to become the president or not. So substance matters. Their quality track record matters. In that regard, Dr. An Cheol-soo failed to convince the constituents that he was ready to be the president.
And I think that was really, I suppose, verified by the public through about 6 TV debates that really didn't work in favor of An. I don't have enough time, but I really want to point out this question. Now, you spoke about North Korea, and there is that underlying fear amongst the South Korean public that if we go too liberal, that we might be exposed to more threat from North Korea. Now, Moon Jae-in is someone who has vowed to talk it out with North Korea. There is even talks that he might just go back to the sunshine policy of the Kim Dae-jung administration. And Western media have been repeatedly reporting that the election of Moon Jae-in could in fact pose a rift between U.S.-South Korea relations, or just expose itself to the big threat of North Korea. Is that true? I mean, where are we sailing here?
There is a possibility of repeating the difficult times when South Korea elected a liberal-minded president in Mr. Roh Moo-hyun in 2002 election, and there was George W. Bush in the first term as a president of the United States. But the matter of fact that we learn from history is that South Korea-U.S. partnership survived the pair of Roh and George W. Bush. So why not, overcoming similar challenges this time? And South Korea and the United States had learned many valuable lessons from very difficult period of partnership about 15 years ago. So I remain optimistic about different personality of two leaders on the other side of the Pacific Oceans remain very pragmatic in pursuing, good result in dealing with nuclear North Korea.
Well, I think we would have a better judgment or assessment if we know what Donald Trump really means, or where his foreign policy vis-a-vis North Korea is heading, because he keeps on getting mixed results. I don't know, do you think Moon and Trump can work together?
I mean, if you can answer that question, I think you'll be #1 political analyst in the United States right now. Basically, I don't think anybody can really read President Donald Trump at this point. I mean, I think yesterday a news report came out, I think it was from the CNN, that says that actually Donald Trump was really mad at National Security Advisor McMaster for talking behind his back with Korean National Security Advisor Kim Kwon-jin and saying that Korea doesn't really need to pay for that. Supposedly Donald Trump actually wants to push a lot of costs onto South Korea, and that's just the kind of personality that Donald Trump is. And I think no matter who the next South Korean president was going to be, it was going to be very, very difficult to deal with a personality like Donald Trump.
Well, we'll have to wait and see if Moon's personality and Donald Trump's personality, one of a kind, could really match and work together in solving this North Korea problem. Thank you, my two experts, for this midnight talk, and hope to see you again in my studio.
Thank you very much.
I hope the new administration listens to the concerns of all citizens, regardless of their social status, to determine the best way to lead the nation.
I hope that Korea becomes a nation where college students can have the freedom to be more confident and express their opinions openly.
College tuition is too expensive. It would be great if the new administration could create more policies that expand scholarships that help students pay for their education.
I hope that the new president can create a fair society where everyone has equal opportunities.
I want a president who will fight for us average citizens. Also, I hope that the next president will be wise and someone our children can be proud of.
We are all struggling right now. For example, I wake up every day at 6 a.m. and work until 9 p.m., barely making enough to get by. I hope the next president will do something to save us from these difficult times.
This is not the time to talk about the differences between political parties. Now is the time to focus on unity, not on division, for that is the only way we'll be able to grow as a nation.
I hope that the new president does not hurt the people. Even though things might not get the way the president envisions, what is important is that he or she makes the effort to make things happen.
My wish is that the leader has a big heart and does not take sides so that everyone can live happily.
The country is split. There needs to be interaction with the people. I would like a president who can do that while solving the North's nuclear problem.
Since the economy isn't doing so well, I hope a lot of efforts are made for young and unemployed people.
I'm hoping that the entire political system is reformed in a transparent way where politics will exist for the people.
I long for a country that's fair to even those without power. I long for a country where power is not centralized, a country where powerless people can also live happily.
So those are South Koreans' message to the new president and what they want in their leaders. Now, we're going to check back with our Yoon-shin. She is still at the Gwanghwamun Square where we earlier saw celebrations by the supporters of Moon Jae-in and where he claimed victory in the 2017 presidential election. We now know that Moon Jae-in is back at his private residence where he'll have to say farewell, bid farewell in a couple hours from now. But let's go back to our Yoon-shin. Yoon-shin, so what are you now feeling, hearing, and seeing?
Hi, Kanya. So I'm here at Seoul Central Gwanghwamun Square, where candlelight vigils were held for months, triggered by the massive corruption scandal broke out last fall. Now, no more candles. There's loud music and bright neon signs and lights that are filling up the atmosphere, marking a new beginning of a chapter in Korean history, as Democratic Party's Moon Jae-in has claimed victory in the 19th presidential election. And he chose here, Seoul's Central Gwanghwamun Square, to celebrate his big win. Thousands of his supporters have also poured out to the streets celebrating the occasion. As you can hear, they're chanting his name in harmony. The exit poll earlier showed that forecast his victory, but now that the actual vote totals are reflecting that too, a massive celebration is happening here among those who cast their ballots for him. And it looks like the festive mood is going to continue for hours to come. So I'll get back to you with more updates later. Kanyang?
Well, thank you for that. I know it's very loud there and things are moving very quickly, but thank you for that report, Eun-shin, our Yoon-shin at Gwanghwamun Square, where President Moon Jae-in just claimed his victory in the 2017 presidential elections here in the Republic of Korea. Now, usually when a new president is chosen, the president-elect is given some time to recruit a transition committee and effectively speed up the confirmation process for key cabinet members. But that's not the case this time. Because this Korean election, the law dictates that a new president-elect takes office immediately after being elected in case a former president has been impeached, the first in Korean history. Our Kim Jung-soo tells us how the transition process is shaping up this time around.
In a speech last week, acting President Hwang Kyo-won said he is ready to step down from his current job, but also offered to help the next administration settle in.
I will resign from my position as soon as the election results are out. However, I will talk with the incoming president regarding potential vacuums that could form in the management of state affairs.
Under normal circumstances, the president-elect is authorized by law to create his or her own transition committee, which gives them a head start of roughly 60 days before they're officially sworn into the office. Former President Park Geun-hye had the advantage. In February 2013, 17 days before she officially began her term as president, Park had nominated Chung Hong-won for prime minister, who was confirmed in advance by the National Assembly. That way, Chung was able to begin his term as prime minister on February 26, just a day after Park herself was inaugurated. What's more, even before Chung was confirmed by parliament, he was authorized to nominate Hwang Kyo-won for justice minister. So Hwang was already in place as a government minister in the first week of March, and Park Geun-hye was able to hold her first official cabinet meeting less than 3 weeks after she was sworn in. But the nation's next leader will be sworn in a matter of hours, which means he will not enjoy the benefits of a transition team. In the highly likely scenario of a Moon Jae-in presidency, Moon will be able to form a planning and counseling team resembling a transition committee. But it's generally believed that he would forego that option to turn his attention directly to tackling state affairs. One way Moon could expedite his transition is by appointing deputy-level ministers that do not need to be confirmed. Pundits speculate that at this rate, the incoming cabinet will only take shape around late May or early June. Kim Jung-soo, Arirang News.
So no luxury of a transition team and no luxury to be enjoying the status of president-elect. Moon Jae-in now heads to the top office, and he just had that celebratory time at Gwanghwamun Square. It looks like that's just about it because he has a whole list of agenda to tackle, from North Korea's nuclear issues to China's THAAD retaliation to Japan's historical distortions. South Korea's new administration has a packed foreign affairs agenda to deal with. That's just one. The most urgent issue seems to be reaffirming the South Korea-U.S. alliance. Our foreign affairs correspondent, Connie Kim.
South Korea's new administration has a sheer number of tasks ahead, including a packed foreign affairs agenda, especially in setting the tone with its main ally, the United States. Amid South Korea's political crisis and North Korea topping Washington's foreign policy, U.S. President Donald Trump already had summits with Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe and Chinese President Xi Jinping at his Mar-a-Lago resort in Florida to discuss Pyongyang's nuclear threat. This has led to much criticism among experts that Seoul has been left out from the Trump administration's North Korea policy. As such, experts say there is an urgent need for the new South Korean leader and Trump to meet and share how the two allies plan to deal with Pyongyang together.
The most important thing to establish is the personal relation with Donald Trump, because actually even in the United States, the main posts have not been completed yet. So it is very important to establish communication level between the two presidents and also at the White House and the Blue House.
If a Seoul-Washington summit is not scheduled soon, the leaders of South Korea and the U.S. are most likely to meet for the first time at the G20 summit in Germany in July. But a first meeting between Seoul and Washington taking place at a multilateral stage has been unprecedented, leading to concerns that such first bilateral meeting should take place as early as next month.
I think it usually took for about 3 or 4 months for a new government to have a summit meeting with the United States. The question is, are we really ready for the summit meeting? Are we ready for a new definition of the alliance? Are we ready for a new lineup of security and foreign policy?
South Korean officials from Seoul's Foreign Affairs Ministry say that reaffirming the strong South Korea-U.S. alliance will also serve as a stepping stone in smoothing ties with other regional countries, namely China over its opposition to THAAD and Japan's continuous distortion of history and unfounded territorial claims. Connie Kim, Arirang News.
Well, when talking about presidential candidates' pledges, geopolitical issues like North Korea's nuclear missile threats and economic issues like Korea's sluggish economy have been the ones mostly discussed. But this time around, this election around, the Korean public were interested in the pledges that could actually change our daily lives, and one of which is really the worsening air quality and risk management in this country. Oh Jung-hee has more.
Every year, Korea is heavily affected by worsening air quality in the spring, mainly due to yellow dust blowing from China. But in recent years, fine dust and ultra-fine dust have become one of the most pressing environmental agendas for the government.
I'm wearing a mask, but it still feels like the fine dust is coming through. It feels quite dusty in my mouth.
I thought the air would be fine because it's sunny, but my eyes are itchy.
With the number of people suffering from health conditions caused by air pollution increasing by the day, tackling fine dust has become a pivotal pledge of presidential candidates this year. They have vowed to solve the matter through various measures, including shutting down coal-fired power plants or banning their construction altogether, further restricting diesel cars and increasing regional cooperation. And to carry these out, experts say the next president will have to seek for the best possible interministerial coordination that includes not only the Environment Ministry but also finance and foreign affairs. Disaster management is another area Koreans are expecting to see the next president to work on actively. Attention on disaster management rose once again over the weekend as massive forest fires broke out in eastern and southern cities of the country, including Gangneung, Samcheok, and Sangju. Over 100 hectares of forest and dozens of houses burned down, with the fire in Gangneung taking over 2 days to be completely extinguished. Following the Sewol-ho ferry sinking 3 years ago, disaster management has become a particularly sensitive and painful issue among Koreans, and that's why the general public already expects the next president to be prompt and organized to prevent similar tragedies from happening again.
The next president should be one with the ability to immediately deal with emergency situations. That will contribute greatly to the people's happiness.
오정희, 아리랑 뉴스.
What we learned the last 2 days in terms of accountability and transparency, that sort of thing.
It's a good idea because at least one is not forced to go back to where they registered to go and vote.
When I saw the voters, I gained trust that this is a well-organized voting system.
Being here on the day of the election, I can see how democracy has become stronger in Korea and how voters trust the voting system. I'm expecting a high voter turnout.
I believe observers are here from each party, but they are participating so well that it's hard to tell which one they're from. I hope we can do the same for next year's presidential election in Paraguay.
I was moved by how the people who protect democratic rights create a government that also protects those same democratic rights.
It's nice to see the people happy, like the National Election Commission's slogan says. I'm also very grateful to be able to experience a beautiful election in this wonderful May weather.
Well, I want to remind you, South Korean democracy is not old at all. In fact, just 3 decades of a young democracy, and it's great to see that there are election officials from all over the world coming here to Korea to learn about the election system. Speaking of the election system, we're now going to head over to our Kim Ji-yeon once again to get the latest figures on voting results because voting matters, Ji-yeon.
Well, 42.6% of the votes have been counted so far. And in the capital city of Seoul, Moon Jae-in is in the lead, no surprise there, followed by An Chol-soo, 22% of votes. You can see the conservative or center-left voters have been split, so that would be a favorable win for Moon Jae-in, the newly elected president. And in Gyeonggi-do province, we have Moon Jae-in with more than 40% of support. And in the western port city of Incheon, we have Moon Jae-in with more than 40% of support there as well. In Gangwon-do province, we also have Moon Jae-in in the lead, followed by Hong Jun-pyo. In Gyeongsang-Buk-do province, we have Hong Jun-pyo with 52%, but this is no surprise as this region was a traditionally conservative stronghold. And in the city of Daegu, that's also the same, Hong Jun-pyo with a staggering 47%. In Gyeongsang-Namdo province, Hong Jun-pyo is still in the lead, but it's neck and neck with Moon Jae-in. And in the city of Ulsan, these are one of the three cities that I'm looking out for, as it's a turnout with more than just 6% of votes gap. In Busan, there's 37% and 33%. It's neck and neck. In Jeollabuk-do province, we have a staggering 64% of votes for Moon Jae-in, nowhere near the other candidates. That's also for 58.4% in Jeollanam-do province. In the city of Light, we have 58.8% for Moon Jae-in. And in Korea's tech hub city, we have 45%. And you can see the votes for center-left and conservative voters are split. And also in Sejong, we have more than 50% support for Moon Jae-in. In Chungcheongbuk-do province, we have 36.9%, more than 10% gap from Hong Jun-pyo from the Liberty Korea Party. In Chungcheon-Namdo province, there's also more than a 10% gap from a traditionally conservative stronghold. And last but not least, we have Jeju Island with 44.8% for Moon Jae-in.
Well, overall, so landslide victory, I would say. But when we look at when we analyze the figures, it's actually quite interesting that in some of the areas, although the Conservative Party has been losing its popularity, we still see strength in some of those strongholds. Whereas in casting vote areas, we're seeing more of Moon Jae-in supporters voting for Moon Jae-in this time around.
I think the preferences for liberal or conservative hasn't changed much according to region, but I think conservative and central-left voters, they've been split between choices of Yoo Min and An Chol-soo and Hong Jun-pyo, and that's why that was a clear victory win for Moon Jae-in.
Right. Thank you, Jiyeon, for that. And although it might not be as thrilling, I'm going to keep you there so that you can keep us updated on the final result. Thank you, Jiyeon. Now, we're going to check back with our three campaigns, the three major campaign headquarters. First, we're going to go over to our Kim Hyun-bin. It was mostly cheer at the strike of 8, and I was there myself. So there was a big cheer that erupted down there. And Hyun-bin really, he will be moving over to Gwanghwamun Square, where the celebratory mood has shifted to. But still, Hyun-bin, I want you to tell us what the mood was like earlier today at the strike of 8.
Well, Kon-young, soon after the exit polls were out, there were barely any room to move in this 430-seat auditorium. Now, press from all over the world came to see hopefully the possible next president of the country. Now he is. But soon after the exit polls, Moon stopped by here and thanked his party and the people for their support. But as you can see now, it is pretty empty now because the presidential candidate already gave his victory speech in Gwanghwamun Square. And honestly, Kon-young, I thought there would be some champagne popping here, but I guess I was wrong in that part. Back to you, Kon-young.
Well, Hyun-bin, I would advise you for that champagne, you will be moving over to Gwanghwamun Square to be sharing that. Thank you, Hyun-bin. Now, second runner-up, Hong Jun-pyo and his campaign. We're going to go over to our Shin Se-min at the campaign headquarters of Liberty Korea Party. Now, Se-min, you told us that it's relatively or very quiet there. Are we seeing any change, any difference?
Nope, we are not seeing much difference here, Kanyang, except for a little while ago when the party officials had handed out pans of pizzas to reporters and TV crews who had been here at the headquarters reporting the election coverage throughout the entire day. But by all means, Kanyang, that was not a celebratory late-night snack, as there's nothing much to commemorate from the party's or the candidates' perspective, at least. But it was not a comfortable mood for a lot of the reporters, as well as facing those party officials handing out those snacks with some sorry faces. It was not a very happy mood for all of us here. But before that pizza, and while we're still watching the vote counts with a lot of the party lawmakers and the officials, the candidate appeared to concede the election. Let's run the tape to see what he had to say as the presidential candidate.
We won't know until all the votes are counted, but if the exit polls prove true, I'm satisfied with taking on the task of rebuilding this party. I solemnly accept the election outcome. Thank you all.
Again, the candidate's solemn acceptance of the election results came sooner than many had expected, as only 9% of the ballots had been counted by the time he had addressed the people. And with that concession speech, many of the reporters and the camera crews that had been waiting in their positions began packing up their equipment, and with little expectations that there will be much of the activity that will be stemming out from the headquarters here. And at the same time, the supporters who had been rooting for the Conservative Party as well as the candidate were reluctant to leave up until they saw the room clearing out later in the evening, saying that they should be together, especially during such hardships. Kanyang?
Our Shin Se-min from the Liberty Korea Party, where in my personal view, I think Hong Jun-pyo did better than we had all expected, and our Shin Se-min from the Liberty Korea Party headquarters. Now, candidate number 3, one that delivered his defeat speech the earliest amongst the major candidates, People's Party An Chol-soo. He veered to center-left by the end of the campaigning period, but Ji-sun, so what are we seeing now? And you've been following An Chol-soo all this time, and what did he say during his defeat speech?
Well, Kanyang, as you can see, it's almost empty now, and Arirang TV's only broadcaster still guarding the People's Party's election headquarters. An Chol-soo did come here. He arrived about 2 hours ago. He spoke with his party's lawmakers who are watching the election broadcast. He shook hands with each one of them and delivered a short speech accepting his defeat. Take a listen.
I will humbly accept the people's choice. I couldn't answer the nation's call for change, but I hope Korea progresses into the future with a new president. Thank you, fellow citizens, and everyone at the party. I will continue striving for Korea's change and future. Thank you.
Well, his voice was sad from what I felt, and his speech was delivered earlier than expected, and this was just minutes before it was projected that Moon Jae-in will certainly win the election following 3 or 4 hours of ballot counting. As for what role he hopes to play or how he accepts or interprets the result, An Chol-soo said he will address such questions tomorrow. When asked whether he will fly to another country, he just smiled. Soon after his departure, People's Party lawmakers made their exit too, with reporters also have already packed and left here at the campaign headquarters. It was a shocking and disappointing result for the headquarters of People's Party, as An was expecting to at least end the race in second place instead of the third spot, with less than anticipated support from the liberal Hunan region, where the party ended up victoriously in last year's general election. The People's Party also announced it will disassemble its election committee tomorrow, which is today at 3 p.m. Back to you, Ganyang.
Right. The next move of An Chol-soo, this former IT mogul, a software programmer, medical doctor turned politician, what his next move will be, because we remember him submitting his letter of resignation for his National Assembly seat. So we'll have to wait and see what kind of a step he takes forward from here on forth. Thank you, Ji-sun, for that report and for following An Chol-soo around all the official campaigning period. Now, as I said before, South Korea's democracy is a pretty young one, yet our election system is pretty mature. So much that there are experts from other countries coming to South Korea to observe and learn from the South Korea's election system. And this time around, we actually saw the citizens wanting to exercise their suffrage rights to get their voice heard for the appropriate kind of democracy that the values that it has. So take a look at those who got to cast the ballot for the first time ever.
I was nervous about voting for the first time. I always waited outside of polling stations for my parents, so it was interesting for me to take part in the whole process for the first time. I got a bit worried too that I might have made a mistake. My first ever vote was in one word, tense.
It's wonderful that I can vote now. I feel like a true citizen. Rather than just being excited, I feel a sense of responsibility, so I decided to vote consciously.
Now that I've received my citizenship, I am glad that I have the right of a Korean citizen to vote.
Good luck, Mr. President. We support you.
Earning your right to vote and being able to exercise it means you're doing your part as a Korean citizen. That's why I look forward to being able to vote.
Well, with that, we wrap up Arirang News election night coverage of the 2017 presidential election. Now, as of 12:45, we're actually right about 3 to 5 minutes before 1 a.m. But as of 12:45, the votes counted were 52.4% of the votes had been counted, with Moon Jae-in, of course, leading the rack with nearly 40% of votes. And Moon Jae-in, of course, claimed victory at Gwanghwamun Square in downtown Seoul earlier today. So let me close out with news that Liberal frontrunner Moon Jae-in, who had been leading the opinion polls for quite some time now, has claimed victory in the 2017 presidential elections, becoming the 19th president of the Republic of Korea. Thank you for watching, and we'll be back soon.
Simple, but not shabby. Impressive, but not extravagant. The glorious culture of the Baekje Kingdom dates back more than 1,400 years. The Baekje Historic Areas is inscribed on the UNESCO World Heritage List, which should be preserved by mankind as a whole. Visit and